Guys, hello, and welcome back to Sweet and Sour Soccer. And this is our Premier League predictions week 3. Now, as you may know, if you've been watching so far, me and Scott have got a head-to-head at the moment, going up against each other every week with our Premier League predictions. 1 point for the correct result, 3 points for the correct scoreline. And as you can see, Scott has extended his lead. It's now 12-8 to Mr. Lavender. The exact same score last week as the first week, 6-4. Yeah, I need to pull something else. It's only 4 points, but again, if he beats me this week and it gets to 7, 8, no, I can't. I need a big week this week. I really, really do. Let's waste no time. Let's jump straight into it. And the first game is, of course, Chelsea versus Luton. Luton have only played one game so far this season. The game last week against Burnley was postponed, and we all know why for obvious reasons. They did lose 4-1 in their first game. For Chelsea, you get an impressive 1-1 draw against Liverpool, and then you lose 3-1 to West Ham, a team that a lot of people predicted to struggle this season, not go down, but of course not do as well as they have done in previous seasons, but they just couldn't get the job done. I mean, a lot of money spent. You've got to back Chelsea. This is the perfect game for them on paper. Will Luton come out fighting? They know Chelsea are a little bit vulnerable at the moment. I still think Chelsea are going to get the job done. The perfect game for them. Luton home. Scott said 3-0. I actually gone 2-0 to Chelsea. I should clarify, Scott said 3-0 Chelsea, not 3-0 Luton. But the way Chelsea have started, you could forgive me for thinking 3-0 Luton. But no, we both said a Chelsea a win. Oh, do us a favour, hit that like button and subscribe. 72% of you keep coming back to watch our videos without subscribing. You must like the content. Do us a favour, like, subscribe, and we'll get back to the video. Next up is Bournemouth taking on Spurs. And if you'd have said to Spurs at the start of the season, you're going to play Brentford, you're going to play United, you're going to come away undefeated. Not only that, you're going to have 4 points. I think they'd have taken that all day long. For Bournemouth, it could be a lot worse for them. It could be a lot worse. They at least do have a point on the board, but I don't see them getting much this week. Scott's actually gone for quite an impressive 3-1 Spurs victory. I think it's going to be a little bit tighter. I've gone 2-1 to the away side, 2-1 to Spurs. Next up is Brentford versus Palace. And for Brentford, sitting in the Champions League spots, what can you say? 1 win, 1 draw. It's going to be a tricky game against Palace. Put up a good fight on Monday. You've got to say that. To lose to Arsenal 1-0, of course, they played against 10 men for quite a lot of that game. They really would have wished, especially being at home, they could have maybe got a result, at least a draw out of that. However, it wasn't too bad. This is going to be tricky. Scott's gone for a 2-2 draw here. Thinks there's going to be goals. I think it's going to be a draw as well, but I think both teams are going to be a bit cagey in this one. I'm going to go for a 1-1. Scott's gone 2-2. I'm going 1-1. Next up is Arsenal, who we just spoke about. They are at home to Fulham. And of course, Mitrovic is getting his move to Saudi. We knew he wasn't going to play. He told the club he's never going to play for Fulham this season. He really wanted that move. This is going to be interesting. Scott's gone 4-0 to Arsenal. And of course, the inner Arsenal fan has come out of Scott. I do think Arsenal get the result. They look good. They were very resilient on Monday. That result against Palace is easily won, especially when they went down to 10 men. It's easily a game that they could have dropped points in. And if it would have finished up a draw after Tomiyasu got sent off, you kind of probably could have forgiven Arsenal. It's not easy to play with 10 men against any Premier League team, never mind away at Palace. So you've got to give them a lot of credit for that. Those are the kind of results that can win you leagues. Scott's gone 4-0. I don't think it's going to be that easy. I'm going to say 2-0 to Arsenal. I think Fulham will put up a bit of a fight, but I think Arsenal get the clean sheet. 2-0 to Arsenal. Scott's gone 4-0. Guys, I do apologise while editing the video. There was a sound issue during this part of the video. However, we are coming on to United versus Forest. And for United, it's not great. Roy Keane is out here calling them the new Spurs. That is the lowest of the low. You could argue that United should have 0 points. If Wolves could finish their dinner, they would have won that game at Old Trafford 2 weeks ago. Of course, the corruption with VAR means we didn't get a point when we should have. But United really should have 0 points or maximum one. And then, of course, last week, losing to Spurs, let's be honest, quite convincingly. It's not great. The midfield needs work. Bruno, Mount, Casemiro. I just do not see how that works. United need to somehow try and find another central midfielder before the window closes, or it's going to be a long season for them. Well, until January at least. For Forest, what can you say? Win and a loss. You lose to Arsenal 2-1 on the opening day. Could have been a lot worse, but I think if you're being honest, Forest fans, you'd have probably expected that. And then, of course, you beat the teams that you should be beating or expect to be beating last week in Sheffield United. So 3 points from 2 games. You can't really say much more than that. It's keep that up and you'll be fighting for Europe to the end of the season. So, yeah, fair enough. For this game, Scott's gone quite convincing for United. I don't know what he's basing this on. I really, really do not know what Scott's basing this on. He's gone 3-0 United. I think that's a little bit unfair to Forest. Now, I will add a caveat here. I have given United the win, but I think 3-0 is a little bit excessive. Do I go 2-0 or 2-1? I do expect United to come back strong. And I do apologise, Forest, but if you do get a result here, it wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't. I'm factoring in the Old Trafford aspect of it. They're going to need a bounce back. I expect Ten Hag to make a few changes. I'm going to go 2-0. Scott's gone a bit too. 3-0, that's a big statement. I'm going to say 2-0 to United. Forest fans, I do apologise. Next up is my club, Wolverhampton Wanderers, and we are travelling away to Goodison Park. It's a 6-pointer. We are at the end of August, and we've got our first 6-pointer of the season. 20th play 19th. Yeah, I mean, Everton absolutely embarrassed at home. Away to Villa last week. Wolves embarrassed at home to Brighton. Both these teams have scored. Both of these teams have conceded 5 in their first 2 games. The only reason Wolves aren't bottom is that we scored in that 4-1 defeat to Brentford. Oh, God, this is such a massive game as a Wolves fan, well, an Everton fan as well. But to be in a 6-pointer, it's not even the first week of September. This is massive. This really is massive. Scott's gone for a 2-1 Wolves win. I don't know why he thinks we're going to score 2 goals. Yeah, I don't know why. I've gone for a 1-1. I just think it's got 1-1 written all over it. Both teams aren't great defensively. We did okay very well against United. But yeah, that result last week hurt us badly. I just don't see us getting the win, especially if you're going off last season. Our away form was dreadful. It was our home form that kept us up. For Everton, yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say to you guys. I just don't know. Well, I think we all know what you need right now. You need a fit Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and you need the defence to tighten up. But I don't think it's going to be a free-flowing game. I think both teams are going to be cagey. That's why I've gone for a 1-1, and Scott's gone for a 2-1 Wolves victory. Listen, I actually hope Scott's right this week. I mean, if I get the points in terms of the 3 points for the correct result score, fair enough. I hope Scott's right, though. Scott's gone 2-1. I've gone 1-1. Next up is Brighton sitting top of the league, and they are at home to West Ham. Tricky one, this, because, of course, West Ham off that big 3-1 win against Chelsea. Brighton absolutely smashing it. I mean, they've scored 8 goals in their first 2 games. Yeah, unbelievable from them. This is going to be a tricky one. Yeah, I mean, I think we all probably would say that Brighton are going to win this. Scott's gone for a 3-1 home win. I mean, they are good. Mitoma, Ferguson, Marsh, Gross. I mean, their team is just stacked. I mean, João Pedro didn't even start last week. That says how good their their lineup is. Do you know what? 3-1 sounds good. I might copy Scott. I might copy Scott on that one. I think they will concede. They've conceded in every game so far this season. I think the first week they played Luton, if I'm not mistaken, conceded. Played Wolves last week, conceded. So I will give West Ham a goal. But do you know what? I think I might echo 3-1. We're both going to go 3-1 this week. Next up is Sheffield United versus City. And yeah, I think I don't need to spend much time on this one. City look great, even with the injuries to Stones, Bernardo, De Bruyne. I still think people expect them to get the job done quite convincingly, even though they are away. Scott's gone 5-0. I'm going to say 4-0. I'm going to say 4-0 Man City. Scott's gone 5. Next up is Burnley versus Villa, and Villa with that convincing win against Everton last week. Of course, Burnley, one of two teams with Luton that have only played one game this season. Scott's gone for an away win. He's gone 2-1, and I don't want to see him like I'm copying him, but that sounds like a pretty good scoreline. If I was going to change it, I'd probably say 3-1 to Villa. However, if you're going to base it off this season, which you can't really, only being 2 games in, you would say that that away trip to St James's Park on the first week of the season, doesn't read well. So maybe they may have a little. Will they have a few nerves on that game going away from home? Of course, very convincing at home. Away haven't been great so far. Again, it's only 2 games. I'm going to echo Scott. I'm going to go 2-1 to Villa. I think it's going to be tight. I think both teams are going to look for the result, but I think Villa will just about get it done. We've both gone 2-1 to Villa. And last but not least, probably the biggest game of the weekend is Newcastle versus Liverpool. And this game has served up some unbelievable games in the past. You go back to the famous Stan Collymore goal, 4-3, Liverpool and Newcastle back in the 90s. And even since then, there's been some amazing games between these two sides, especially when Newcastle were at their best 20, 25 years ago. We've both gone for a draw here. Scott's gone 1-1, but I've gone 2-2 only because I think Liverpool and Klopp knows they're going to pick up a lot of their victories this season by going for it. Newcastle defensively look very good against Villa. Did look good against Man City as well, only losing 1-0. I think this is going to be an end-to-end game. I think there's going to be goals in this. I was actually tempted to say 3-3, but it's very difficult to predict 3-3 because a lot's got to happen in that game. I'm going to go 2-2 though. Scott's gone 1-1. I'm going to say 2-2, and hopefully Isaac can do something for my FPL. Guys, I'm going to put the predictions on the screen right now. This is what me and Scott have gone for this week. Remember, Scott is leading 12-8. I need a big week. Let us know in the comments who you think has the better predictions, and of course, put your predictions down there as well. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.